And like I said, entrepreneurship, I feel like it found me. I wasn't looking for it. It takes for you to leave the hood to realize how messed up the hood is. I grew up saying, yeah, you can't see that. And now I'm old, I'm like, nah, no one should be living there. Like, no.
Because someone said, like, if you're poor, you don't know that you're poor because everybody around you is poor.
100%,
so that's normal.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
Entrepreneurs need to stop being philanthropists. I don't know where we get this thing, like where we want to help people before we have. I said to my team, if we fill the Workfresh cup, we can fill all these other boys' cup. Let's focus on the business right now. And in the last podcast, they were like, so what's next? I'm like, nothing is next. We're focusing on the business now. We keep falling for that trap as young black entrepreneurs of attaching our brands to our businesses. We need to stop that thing. This is business. And if you're going to bring your emotions into business, you're going to sacrifice your business over your opinion. No, but for you to get to 30 million, you need to know how to clean 1,000 first. So that's the thing about entrepreneurs, right? We go for funding for 50 bars, and then you realize I just spent 10 bars on billboards. They're not giving me an ROI.
So you want to nail it before you scale. Welcome again, ladies and gems, to another exciting episode of The Big Dreamers. I'm joined today by Lethabo, and we're going to have a very cool, chill session. A man who appreciates the good things. The sneakerhead in me is going to come out today.
Lovely.
Yeah, Lethabo, welcome, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
So maybe let's start just from the top. Like, how did it all start? Where you from?
Yeah. From Daveyton, East Rand, Johannesburg. Born and bred there. Raised by my grandmother, my moms, my aunts, my uncles. Typical Kasi guy.
Yeah.
Nothing special. Well, everything special. Went to Milori Primary School. Went to Kgalema Intermediate. Went to Maboya. Matriculated Maboya. Went to Boston Media House, did a 1-year course in PR. I went to UJ, did a 3-year degree in corporate communications, and started my business, Workfresh, the sneaker laundry.
Yes.
Right after graduating.
And if you look back, you say typical Kasi but special. I'm more interested in that special ingredient. Like, what was it? What was the catalyst that got you into the journey of entrepreneurship? I mean, you could have done anything, right? What was it? Is it one of your uncles, aunts? Where is it?
Yeah, it's funny that you say one of my uncles, because it was definitely my uncle, but he wasn't also an entrepreneur. He was an optometrist. But I think one of the key things I learned from him is making money. Like, my uncle was like, yo, you just have to make money, And we grew up hustling.
Yeah.
Whether you're selling this or you're selling that. But I never saw myself as an entrepreneur. I was saying the other time, even the word entrepreneur is a new word. Like, it's a businessman, and even that, the minute you say that, there's always an image of the matala in a C-class who runs a change, So you don't imagine yourself a corner shop. You don't imagine yourself as that as a kid in the time that we grew up in, right? So I think the key thing was that, and I'm saying this again. I grew up around the time where DJ Spoo was on radio, and like it was all about hustling, Forster, and. So, but entrepreneurship happened to me, like it's something that I never imagined. And even home, everyone is like a doctor, lawyer, teacher, principal, whatever. There's no entrepreneur. I'm probably the first guy to own a business in my whole family. Wow. So. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said to people I wanted to own a business. I thought I'd be like a head writer in an agency by now. Like, I thought I'd be like a partner at an advertising agency.
Why? Was that like the creative side in you?
Yeah, I enjoy copyright. I still do. So even when I was in varsity, I thought when you plan your life, you're like, okay, 31 man. At least I'm like a senior writer, or I'm a partner at an agency, or I started my own agency with Machida. But I always imagined my path as that, never a business.
What did you study?
I studied corporate communications.
So you did go down that path.
Yeah. I mean, before I resigned, I used to be interning at an agency, and I used to be doing brand activations for another agency. So I did work for a bit there.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed the work, but not the pay. Like, the work was amazing. I mean, we were working on like really cool campaigns, Nivea and all of those things. But because when I was a student, I used to have 3 jobs. So I had like grown accustomed to having so much revenue or income from my 3 hustles.
Which were?
I used to work as a promoter for Celsi at Campus Square. So after class on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I used to work there. I used to work as a student assistant at the nursing department on campus with Pusha Bear. So I used to help the lecturers at the nursing department with that. And I used to also work for Sony as promoting the devices during the week. So I knew that I had 3 incomes. And I'd save some, send some money home. But then when I was interning at an agency, then I was there the whole day.
And you can't.
And I was earning 3.5. Oh, that was tragic. So I think.
But weren't you learning a lot? Was it not worth the learning?
I mean, I was learning, right?
Yeah.
I was learning, but the older, and like I said, I'm used to hustling. I'm used to having like money coming in, and I'd built a certain life. I mean, for myself, you know, expenses and. And my uncle would always say, at the end of the day, you need to have money. So if what you're doing is not bringing you money, but you also want to make, you also want to like negotiate between learning and earning, you know?
Yes.
So I was always happy to learn, but I think the pay like was kind of like frustrating because now I couldn't live in Joburg, but the office was in Rivonia. With that pay, I couldn't afford to live in Joburg, and home is Daveyton, right? But when I had 3 jobs, I could live here. I could afford to live here. So it meant I would have to go home, live at home, and travel to Rivonia. But still, the petrol money is not enough, you know? So that was kind of like frustrating for me. And I think that's why even when the business idea came about, I was just like, actually, I might as well commit to this, you know?
You know, we're seeing a trend, like with the people we speak to, is that everybody hustles, like from early age, like everybody. So I ask this question consistently, like, do you think entrepreneurs are born or are they made?
I think businessmen are made, entrepreneurs are born. And when I say that, a businessman, we can hire a CEO, right? Someone who knows how to run a business. But someone who has the grit to start one, you can't, you know. I have entrepreneurs, I have people that want to go into business and I say, my boy, you don't have the bone. Because I know you, like you're my friend, and I know what this thing requires. I also didn't think I had the bone for it, but it seems like I do, right? And I said this to a friend 4 years ago, and I said, don't leave your job. Like
not everybody should be an entrepreneur.
Like this thing's not going to work out. The idea is great, but you, like, Ntwan, this thing's going to frustrate you. And he went back to work like last year, December. He was just like, actually.
So he did quit and went into.
Yeah, I did quit. And I told him, I was like, yo, don't quit, dog. Like, if you really think this thing's for you, do it as a side gig until it tells you to resign. Don't do it the other way. Don't resign first and force it to, you know.
Yeah, but in fairness, if someone came to you and told you the same thing, you would have probably not listened either.
Yeah, 100%.
And because that's the first measure of an entrepreneur, right? Is that people will tell you a rational reason why not to do it, but you still do it anyway.
Yeah, I'm just going to tell you my truth. You know, I'm going to say, my boy, I know why I'm saying this. Whether you take it or not, you're a grown man, right? And even if it doesn't work out, you can still come back to me and say, oh, dog. And even if it did work out, I'll still be happy for you.
Yeah.
But where I'm standing, this is what I'm saying to you. So that's why I think entrepreneurs, I see people start things and I'm like, this guy won't see 3 years. Not because he's not capable, but because of the type of focus this thing requires. The hype is going to die down. And even his passion is going to die with that, you know. So I think businessmen are made, but entrepreneurs, on the other hand, you can't fake it.
I also think there's a lot of people who can be self-employed, but that doesn't make them entrepreneurs, right? There's a difference. Like,
100%.
If you own a shop,
100%.
If you're self-employed, I mean, but does that make you an entrepreneur?
And I don't want to gatekeep like words and descriptions, right? But I think also another issue I have, and we go back and forth with these lemma outi, is sometimes we have to be happy with being self-employed, right? I've seen a lot of businesses fail because of people wanting to scale something that works at this size.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm happy for the ambitions, but the model as it is okay like this.
It's a lifestyle.
Yes. Yeah. If you try to stretch it, you're a tailor, for example.
Yeah.
If you try to stretch that thing, you can, trust me. But you have to also be able to let go of certain things in that business. You have to let go of the interpersonal interaction, because if you have 2 stores, one in Mall of Africa, one in I don't know, clear water mall in Rodeport. Clients want you. So you're going to have to detach from that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think there's so many descriptions, man.
No, I'm going to let you cook on this one because I think you're bringing in a lived experience and you see these mistakes, right? Yeah. And some of them you've made yourself,
100%,
right?
100%.
So if we double click on that part and we've got guys watching, they've got, you know, the work thing is not working. What would be your genuine piece of advice to say, like, what would be an easier low-hanging fruit for someone to pursue?
I think for me, when you speak about that, it's close to home, right? In a sense that what some people consider low-hanging fruits, to some of us, it's not really low-hanging because, and I said this online, I said it's weird that for black entrepreneurs, it's almost like we don't need money to make money. But everyone else suddenly needs, it's a philosophy that everyone lives by. You need money to make money, right? So it's tough for me to say, there's a low-hanging. But what I can say is that, the answers are there, right? It's just that from my experience and my circles, we don't want to get dirty. We don't want to look like we're struggling.
So we want the rewards without the work.
Yes. And I mean, a lot of the homies are willing to work. A lot of the ladies and the guys are willing to work, but maybe because of social media, we are also obsessed with how it looks. You know, my mentor Luyanda used to say, "Man, we don't care how it looks. That doesn't work." Like I used to have like this other website. It was great, but the experience for the clients was whack, and it was just like switch that thing off, right? So my advice is similar, like I did. The answers is there. Sneaker cleaning is not rocket science. I didn't have to
invent something.
Yeah, no, it's there, right? It's just a matter of execution. And that's why you look at someone and say, the commitment this thing requires, you don't have it. You still want to be out on weekends. You're my friend, I know you. Until you shut that down, you're gonna be hand to mouth because something has to give, right? So my advice would be start where you are. I always say this, start where you are. And if you want to go into real estate, but you haven't built a shack,
it's going to be a rough ride.
It's going to be a tough one, and you're going to be depressed, and you're going to think it's not working, and you're looking at other people that are doing it, but you're only seeing the shell, you're only seeing what's in front of you. These people have put in work. And obviously, not everyone puts in the work. Like, the older I get, I realize some people just have people behind them. And that's okay, right? But if nothing's coming together, you just got retrenched, whatever. I mean, it doesn't take much to bake. It doesn't take much to and go wash someone's car.
Again, to me, that interests me, like you're thinking, because, again, that's why I'm letting you cook on this subject, because it's such an important one. Like, firstly, I find a lot of people don't know how to start. And look at you. You just broke it down to, like, level 0.1. Like, you don't say, write a business plan. You say, bake. Like, do something now, right?
I don't have a business plan.
But where does that come from? The ability to look at a problem and say, okay, under the resources I have, this is what my next step is going to be. Because I think that a lot of people struggle with that.
True, right? And I think my approach comes from, there was nothing. So it's always been, what's the worst that could happen? There's nothing. Like, so if I don't do this, what's going to happen? You know? And I always used to say, you can't threaten me with poverty. Like, I know that. So what's the worst that could happen? Or my business is going to fail and I'm going to go back to Daveyton. I know that thing. I'm from there. So I'm familiar with it. I'm comfortable, actually. The worst that could happen is that I succeed. Because then I don't know how that looks like. You know, we're talking about kids with my friend Lazi on Saturday. And he was like, yo, I have a daughter. And I'm like, I'm keen to have a boy to see a version of me that hasn't suffered. How is he going to be? So for me, rather, if I have an idea...
Why just a boy? It could be a girl. Same difference.
I'm selfish. I want to see Lethabo. I'm selfish. But if it is a girl, I mean, blessings, right?
Right?
But for me, it's that, what's the worst that could happen? My uncle used to say, like ghost. When the problem comes, we deal with it. Even the team knows. Don't tell me it's a crisis. No, it's a situation. How do we solve it, you know? So because I think like that, I don't get caught up in the philosophy and the theory. Entrepreneurs want to say, I want funding. I'm like, funding for what? You want to risk with our money. You haven't used your money. Like, I've lost so much of my money in this thing that I don't beg for funding because I know how to make money.
And the first best investor in your business is your first customer.
Yeah, exactly.
People don't want to sell. They want money just to arrive from the cloud.
So I think that's to answer your question. I have nothing to lose. Only now when I'm getting old, I have a couple of things to lose, right? It's like I have responsibilities, my family, but I always say this, there's this naivety that comes with youth. And people take that for granted. I use it. Like, I know I might be saying things to you as we're sitting here and you're like, this boy hasn't not experienced yet. And I know that, but that's my ammo. That's
and
like
also
my
it's your lived
right
experience,
now.
right? You are basing it on what your world looks
it's
like.
It's my superpower. But if I'm scared of the unknown, then I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to open a shop in Cape Town. I always say, gents, everything we do is a win. All the guys that work at the stores, like the one we started with, I say, I know your mom, you know my mom. We know the situations. So if we open a shop anywhere else outside of it's still a win. Even if we close it and fail, we'll say, but Kukas,
hey, you remember that shop? And remember that shop we opened, and then
So for me, it's that I carry that along with me everywhere I go to say, what's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is for me to succeed, right? Because then it's like, yo, how did you do it? Then I can come back and package it in a way that the gents can understand in very simple language,
I think that then leads us quite nicely to current successes. So how did it actually start? How did the business start? I mean, I sort of get an insight as to how you think, right? Seeing low-hanging fruits and opportunities that are hidden in plain sight. How did you get to this specific one and, the journey?
And like I said, entrepreneurship, I feel like it found me. I wasn't looking for it. I really wasn't. I never imagined myself having employee stress. I didn't think I wanted that stress anyway. But I remember at the time that the business idea came about, I was frustrated with the salary part at the agency, right?
Right.
And more than that, when I came back home from varsity, it takes for you to leave the hood to realize how messed up the hood is. I grew up saying, and now I'm old, I'm like, nah, no one should be living there. Like, it's not, no.
Because someone said, like, if you're poor, you don't know that you're poor because everybody around you is poor. So that's normal.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, so for me, and that's why when I initially spoke, I said, well, everything's special about us, because then you realize, if I'm from that and I'm able to do this.
And get out.
Right? So I came back home and I realized that my childhood friends were still where they were, or where we were before I went to varsity, right? And suddenly you're revered because it was Kela, and
sorry, just to interrupt you, wasn't that difficult? Like that you went to school and you're sort of leaving your peers behind?
Not at that time. It became difficult now when I'm older. Because now I had to deal with the survivor's guilt. When I was young, it was cool. Like, I mean, I wasn't the only one who came back from varsity. And whoever. So that's fine. But I think my issue was, and I'm very outspoken. I always had an issue with how it works. Like, you come back from varsity, you drive like an entry-level Polo.
Starter pack.
And then then you go to shop and you guys shit by yourself there, you drink your Chivas Regal, and you start speaking English, and everyone else becomes like
spectators.
Yeah, I always thought like, I never liked that. I never liked people that see themselves above other people. So when I came back home, I saw that happening to me. I saw even the guys who are graduates calling me to the side, wanting to chill out with me. There's a VIP section with people. And I'm like, that's strange. I'm not that person, right? So I had that problem. And I realized how we're also perceived as township boys, right? There's a conclusion about us. And these are stereotypes that we grew up with, right? I was laughing. I was saying to my friend, when we were growing up, like, wearing the kavela, like chicks in suburbs used to mock us. Now they're wearing them. So now what we must do, are we supposed to go back to that, right? So we grow up having to fight so many of these stereotypes.
Because you didn't fit in when you get to varsity because uzal kasi, and then go kasi, now you're coming back, you're the varsity. So you're always fighting a battle to...
I never really struggled kokasi, right? Kokasi, I'm comfortable. Like, even my friends never looked at me like that. It was something that I saw that I had a problem with, right? And I could see it building up, right? But when I got to varsity, I did struggle to fit in, you know, until I found my type. Because it's a very alienating space for kids from the township. Varsity is very traumatic for township kids, right? But I think that's a topic for another day. So for me, I came back home one day, Katlego was cleaning his mom's shoes. And I said to him, yo, why don't you get paid for this actually? Because Nanjala it was spending me like 35 rand. You forced to wash my car so that I'm also hustling. I don't even get paid nice, dog, you know? And I think that's when, also because I was frustrated in my own life, it was my aha moment. I was like, actually, maybe this is it, right? And I had been praying. I'd be like, God, I don't think you put me through all these struggles in varsity. Varsity was tough for me. For this, to come and sit, like, you know? So I was also looking, you know, because I always believe the door is there. You have to find it. You just have to keep knocking, you know? And I said to my mom, like, yo, I think I'm going to do a sneaker cleaning business. And my mom was like, because you're a graduate. There's that expectation, right? But I'm very stubborn also, right? I was just like, nah, actually, I think I'm going to pursue this.
Where was your dad?
My dad passed away when I was in grade 10. Yeah, he had cancer. My dad passed away when I was in grade 10. And I had left. I hadn't shaved my mustache the other time, and I looked in the mirror. I was like,
I look at it.
You know? So following day, I had money for petrol. I used that money for material, buckets, because we all know how to clean sneakers, kokas. Like I said, I didn't invent it, right? We all know how to clean it. But it's about execution. And that's why I tell people, whether on podcasts or interviews, how I do it and how I run the business. Because I'm like, I'm not going to hide it from you. It's about execution.
That's what's going to make the biggest difference.
You can't keep up with me, right? So that's how the business started. I bought...
Wasn't it humbling? Sorry, and we'll come back to that part. Wasn't it humbling, varsity, all the stuff your mom was saying, but and now here you are with the bucket, soapy water, and washing sneakers. I mean, you must admit that there's a...
No, not really. I made it look fancy. Like, I was doing that in 3-piece suits. Like, I was proud of it.
So you brought your marketing brain into
100%,
execution.
100%. I mean, even before we launched the business, I sat down with my friends at agency and we built the strategy for it.
Execution.
And we did focus groups before we even launched, right? We did research and all of those things because in agency, I had resources to those people, right? So for me, but what I had to do is internal branding with the team because for them it was that. It was like, this is what she got to release.
So you had to essentially elevate and upsell them to understand that this is not just
I had an aha moment. When I went to my laptop that night, I realized no one is doing this. I was just like, yo, this is a gold mine.
How many sneakers, bro?
I was like, this is bread. There will never not be daily sneakers. So I wasn't struggling with because I knew everyone was corporate was frustrated
with the same problem.
They were frustrated, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, yo, this is my way out, actually. But now I had to sell it to the guys. You know, if you go to our Albertson store, whichever stores, we always write because that's what people used to say when they see us. Like I remember go Pick and Pay ShopRites, and this lady was like, Ninja, she tells it. You know, and I was proud of it, but I could see that my team is just like, you know, and so then, like I said, I had to do a couple of things internally, go to certain spaces with them because when we were in, for example, we're doing an activation for Nike in at the Sands in Sandton, people were looking at us like, yo, these guys like cracked it, right? Because people could appreciate the business. Because if you're a business person or not, and you see you're just like, yo,
yeah.
Only when they started seeing what other people from outside Kokasi, right? They were like, oh, no, actually, we're on, you know? But because I understood the stereotypes of Kokasi, like Kokasi, I know how that thing works. So I was like, I'm not worried about this. I know how this works, but not everyone thinks like that. So I had to bring in my
But you must agree that to that last point is that it does feel like people are watching you when you're a black entrepreneur. Just like, yeah, like they're waiting for your failure or
100%,
something.
100%.
So that stuff is real, right? Like I always thought maybe it's a chip on your shoulder, but you feel that weight.
No. I think maybe I agree partially. I don't think I have so many people vouching for me, right? I don't experience people that say "Una no tlo fella kae," but I know it's there.
That's what I mean.
But I always say this about Batuli Trip, right? Every time I have conversations with people about it, it's like Maraba manufacturer group. Why is it that when
you don't ask Nike about
you
that,
don't, right?
Yeah.
So there's that chip that we walk around with, and it doesn't work with me. Like it doesn't because.
But is it not because there's so few black success stories that it's natural that people put people in a podium waiting to knock them down? You know, because that's what people do. They raise you up, applaud you, only to.
I really do think it's a natural thing. It's a natural human thing. I don't think that part of it is a black thing, right? But because there's so many few of us,
it makes it
as if
amplified,
yeah,
right?
But I really think it's a natural human thing. You can go to Ghana, or you can go to Europe. They're probably hating on each other, you know. So,
by the way, do you have a subscription model?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Super cool. Because you know, like I've got so many sneakers. You end up. I hate to admit this live, but like I'll wear my sneakers to the ground, and then just write them off. And there's technically nothing wrong with them. It's just that.
Then you feel like they're unwashable.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. No, we do have a subscription model.
So if like I had a model where like someone would just pick them up or whatever, and I get them done every so often, then I don't have to think about it. That would be super cool.
100%. So we do have and it goes like it's a debit order.
Yeah.
Like a debit order goes off.
Yeah.
When every month you just pick a day, we schedule it for you. Our driver comes and it's 100%. 100%.
So if I had a check, right? Let's assume I have a check.
You don't.
Well, let's assume. Let's assume I have a check. How much would you need to take your business to whatever level you want to take it to, right? Whatever that is. And how long would it take? So how much and how long would it take?
Right now, I need 3 million for a 2-year runway to get to 1,000 pairs a day. So our goal right now is to clean 1,000 pairs a day. And we need 3 bars to set up the facilities for that.
To clean 1,000 pairs a day. What are you cleaning now?
We're doing 750 a month.
And you think the TAM, the addressable market for that is there? You can easily... In other words, if you had the facilities, you could do 1,000 a day.
100%. You go to Unilever, you get the boots. You go to Tiger Brands, you get the boots. You go to Pirates, you get the boots. Then Miles walks in with these 2 pairs. Math.
The numbers are there.
But the facilities. If Unilever says they're going to give you 300 boots a week, where are you going to clean them?
When you say boots, like...
Yeah, because like at the factory... they have to be cleaned. They don't know it yet, but I know they have to be cleaned. Just like the overalls are clean. There's always laundromats in those factories.
Dude, restaurants. Like there's so many businesses that have standardized requirements.
But we haven't even scratched the surface. Because now you realize, capacity.
So why not 30 million?
No, but for you to get to 30 million, you need to know how to clean 1,000 first. So that's the thing about entrepreneurs, right? We go for funding for 50 bars, and then you realize I just spent 10 bars on billboards. They're not giving me an ROI.
So you want to nail it before you scale it?
Yeah, I get old and I realize I'm running a logistics business. This is an ops. This is not a branding campaign, you know? So I need to know the ops first, because at the end of the day, people want you to deliver on your promise. And if you start with 1,000, you can 10x that if you know how to do it. Because once you have the facilities, you learn, okay, I'm running a logistics. How do I move them around? How does Miles track his pay? You know, you get those systems. Because I do believe business is a system, you know. My social media manager is complaining, we don't post, what. I'm like, no, but we're converting. The people we're engaging with, we're converting because the system is working. How do we amplify the system?
In other words,
now?
once you get me in the door and I try your service, I'm stuck.
Bro, I lock you in a subscription.
And I'd gladly pay it because...
Yeah, you know.
I've already spent the money on the sneakers, right? So...
And I said to my teams, every store has a target, right? And I said to them, obviously you guys have to reach target, but you guys are doing it the wrong way of trying to get new clients. Sell to the clients you have. If these guys are happy, you upsell them with shoelaces, you upsell them with deodorizers, they tell their friends, and, you know. So for us, it's like, we started looking within. You know, when you start out, you look at what can we do? How can we innovate? Da, 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 da. But then when you scale down, I think COVID did that to us. Like, you know, you have to like drill down on the model and say, what works here? And you cut off everything else. We used to do handbags and caps, and we're like, no, actually, no.
It's not cool.
Cuts off those things. Because you look at the margins on that, and you look at the time spent, you're like, the input is not worth
like,
output.
I listen to you, and I just hear wisdom and wisdom and wisdom in abundance. Where is it coming from? Is it experience, or is it just you being an intelligent guy? Like, where is it? Because it's refreshing.
No, I think I've been doing this business for 9 years. I also realized that this year, I'm like, I've been doing this for 9 years. You know, I've been doing this business for 9 years, but also I'm very invested in the running of it, and just understanding business, and maybe also because of my education, right? I don't take that for granted. I really don't. And the people that I have around me, I have very solid mentors who engage and treat me like an entrepreneur. Therefore, the language is always here. Yeah. I'm forced to understand elevate. Whether, you know. So I'm not sure about wisdom, but I think experience. And just keeping at it and always learning. I said to my friend, never arrive. That's what Nelson Makamo said to me a couple of years ago. He's like, I'm going to paint for the rest of my life.
Because then you're paranoid. You're always grafting like day one.
Paranoid.
Day one.
I'm paranoid. Like, we just bought this other new equipment. And the guy's like, I'm like, improve on this.
Yes.
But,
so you are your worst and best advocate, in other words.
Yeah. I think I'm my best advocate. My worst advocate is my best friend. Like, Bashiman is just like, and I need that. Like, he tells me, Ntanga, this thing is whack. You're whack. And I'm like, I'm not whack. I'm like, you're swag, dog. And I'm like, man. Yeah. And I do it better, you know. Yeah. But I've learned to be kind to myself.
That's so important and understated. But I know you press for time. You get a jet and go change and operationalize a lot of the stuff. Yep. As a parting shot, I would really like to know, besides the check, where do you see your business in the next 5 years? Like, if you were to measure, so I can track it as my personal KPI to you, where would you want to be in the next 5 years?
Business? I know, I mean, we do have like a stretch, right? We do have like a 10-year stretch.
I would expect it from you.
Yeah, we do have like a very intimidating strategy. For me, 5 years from now, we are definitely cleaning over 1,000 pairs a day, but we've established a school, right? I think that's the North Star right now.
What do you mean a school?
So we started Soul Survivors. I started because I was tired of how when we sit down as intellectuals, as black intellectuals, we talk about how we need our own schools, we need our own curriculum, we need to decolonize the curriculum, but we never really do it. Right?
I like the accent while you're doing
it. Yeah, because we've done that, but we still go back to these institutions that alienate us, and we send our kids to those institutions, right? And everything I'm tired of, I solve it. Like, but if I'm like, this thing doesn't work for me, I solve it, you know, and I'm learning to slow down on that because sometimes it's costly, you know. But 5 years from now, we've established Soul Survivors. So Soul Survivors, in us doing Walk Fresh, we ended up manufacturing our own detergents. Because when I started Walk Fresh, younger kids from different townships would ask me, how do I do this? How do I do that? And because I'm very strict with my time, I was like, hey, I can't reply to all the DMs. How's about we create like a channel and a school and teach them how to do this? Because there's enough sneakers for all of us. There's no way I can clean all the sneakers. I don't want to clean all the sneakers. It's too much work. Imagine 50 people coming back to me getting complain. But if I spread that...
you empower others.
You know?
You legitimize the industry. It becomes a standard, like dry cleaning.
I'm saying we are creating an industry from scratch, from the township. We're formalizing an industry that's always been there. Like Fat Cake City formalized Mokoena without us. And I'm like, nah, it's not going to happen with sneaker cleaning. We'll do it ourselves, right? So 5 years from now, we're running Soul Survivors. I mean, as it stands, we have 130 entrepreneurs across the country who are engaging with our content, who are buying products from us. These are people who are cleaning sneakers, right? And if I could move the business, I'm tired of the front end. Like sharp, B2C sharp, to be honest with you. Because I've cracked it. The money's in the B2B, right? The margins are better in the B2B. And the
Less
B2C,
headache.
The B2C also has a lot of personal branding around it. And I don't like being a celebrity because I'm very loose with what I say, right? And I prefer my life like that. But if you're a popular person, you have to watch what you say. I posted something on LinkedIn and I got 6 calls because people were like, and my mentor was like, you see? So I said to my mentor, okay, if I go to the behind the curtains, then I can still be myself.
Although
right?
I know we press for time, but I gotta double click on that because there's a big thing now about entrepreneurs being what's it called? The term. This has got a fancy term, but ultimately it just means that you want entrepreneurs, the founders of businesses, having a voice because it creates a genuine interaction because people are buying from you as a person and you're going to have controversial opinions. You're a human being. You see the world differently as opposed to the MBAs or corporates who run the business because then they're using PR speak and there's no relationship with them.
But here's the thing, Miles, right? We keep falling for that trap as young black entrepreneurs of attaching our brands to our businesses. We need to stop that thing. This is business. And if you're going to bring your emotions into business, you're going to sacrifice your business over your opinion. Right? I know I'm hell-bent on my opinion, but I'm getting older and realizing there's salaries to pay. Now people mustn't support the store because of what Lethabo said. What about my employees?
But I would argue that's a valid point, but the reverse is also true. I'm supporting you because I believe in your values. We share similar values, and that's why I'm buying into you. Otherwise, I could go to another corporate brand that has no soul.
But that's the thing. No one buys from Pick and Pay because of
fair
the founder.
enough.
How are we having that on us forever? Right? And I mean, it's a process, right? We're not going to wake up really. But I aspire to have a board. I aspire to have a board that will deal with that.
Why don't you have one?
I do have, but I'm saying at that level.
Okay.
I do have a sounding board right now, right? But at that level where Lethabo Mokoena is detached from Walk Fresh, but people still know, right? I don't wanna speak on Palestine because some of you get what I'm saying.
I do very much get what you say.
So I think as entrepreneurs, it's gonna take us a bit of time, but I really think we need to stop emotionalizing business because that's why South Africa is stuck at a startup space.
Wow,
People
never
are
looked at it that way.
Startup, scale. Who's saying scale? Like, do you know what I'm saying? And because
you can't get cancelled. They can't do a Kanye.
Yes, yeah. But right now I can get cancelled, right? So I have to tiptoe now, you know. So for me,
then who's fighting the fight? If
that's
you're
the
not,
thing. That's the thing.
Because you've got the platform to fight the fight. That's the problem, right?
My punches are not strong enough right now.
I don't know. From a young kid who's watching you from Daveyton, I think your punches are damn strong.
That guy needs me to partner up with SIFA to give him funding, not inspiration. I don't like that. I don't want to be the guy who rattles people up,
and can't execute when it comes to
it. But if I hold my tongue now and I sit down with the people and I get it to you directly, then 10 years later, Lethabo can say whatever he wants to say. You know? So I'm learning. I mean, I'm PAC, bro. I'm EFF, bro. Right? So you can already, you know where my thinking is. But I can't sacrifice
people's livelihoods
because
and the
of,
future of your business based on your...
I've accepted. I was depressed because my politics were clashing with my career. Business requires capital, i.e. capitalism. That's where I exist. But I'm a socialist. So those antagonizing ideas led me to depression because I'm just like, I'm not paying people enough. hey, I'm perpetuated, da, 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 da. I had to fight. I had a serious conflict, like, you know, and I had to deal with that in my own ways. But what I'm saying is that we need to stop, as entrepreneurs, we need to pick sides and we need to sacrifice for now. I'm not saying let go of the cause. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying one of my mentors was Wandi, Loction Culture. And Wandi used to say to me, bro, you need to be inside.
Passed away, ne?
Yeah, COVID, you know. Wandi used to say to me, no, Lethabo, you have to be inside for you to have the impact that you're talking about. Right now, you're just a loud mouth. Outside. We like what you're saying. It's nice.
But you're outside.
You're outside. These boys are still going home and still have to hustle for electricity money. You know? So I want
to change the system, you have to be within.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And I said it a couple of years ago. I'm like, either the system is going to silence me or it's going to make me broke. Because this thing has been built over so many years. And who am I, Lethabo, thinking I'm going to, like, I can only play my part. Hence the school. If I open a school and I teach these boys and girls to think like this, and there's 60 more of me, then that's
starting to
And when we're saying we're not voting for that, we're not buying that, the 60 of us with 20 employees each, that's a bit more impactful. But this like and share culture, I'm divorcing myself from that, right? Because I'm realizing...
Because rhetoric doesn't necessarily change the system.
It doesn't.
It makes you feel good.
And that's it. And I always fight with my friends from varsity. I said, it's easy to be an activist until it's time to be active. How come you never see the activists kokasi ba nebaliko sasko
doing stuff?
How come kokasi you don't do that? Oh, you're a revolutionary on campus, insulated by the school. You're outside now. It's time. You want to speak English. And when our parents block the roads, they're inconvenient to you because you're late for your work. You know? So for me, I had to find a middle ground between these two antagonizing ideals and say, okay, what's important now? Right? Do I wanna be a grenade and self-destruct and say, fuck everyone, blah, 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 and people don't bring their shoes? I'm like, I'll go back.
Because I see the same problem with impact, right? Like, ultimately, you want to start a business. Not even Steve Jobs started Apple to create jobs. But for whatever reason, when you're a small, medium-sized business, there's an expectation we need to create jobs. I'm like, no, my expectation is to create a really, really good product that consumers use and love. But if I do that well, invariably, I will create jobs. But my objective is to create a product that people love and use, product or service.
Entrepreneurs need to stop being philanthropists. I don't know where we get this thing, like where we want to help people before we have... I said to my team, if we fill the Workfresh cup, we can fill all these other boys' cup. Let's focus on the business right now. And in the last podcast, they were like, so what's next? I'm like, nothing is next. We're focusing on the business now. Because now we must be on this culture. What's next? You know? So for me, I've rejected the impact, what's that, social impact entrepreneur? I'm not. I'm for profit. Why is it that how many white entrepreneurs you know they are socially? No, no, that's trailing. How do we build billion rand?
And then by definition, you'll be impactful.
It's inevitable.
Yeah,
it's inevitable.
You've got no choice.
No, Dakasars, you're gonna need to do that anyway.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
By default.
So we wanna act like we are there, and we're not. There's so much work to be done.
First,
fundamentally, like be it systems, be it whatever. We don't even have the systems. You don't know a billionaire you can call to fund some boy wherever as Lethabo. I don't. Right? So for me, nah, bro, like, I'm happy to do the mental gymnastics with my friends and talk policies and talk. And it's important, right? Because we action it out in our businesses, right? The movement is there. But
it's the doing.
It's the doing, right? It's the doing. We need to... I want impact that's measurable. That's why I said to the ESD guys and all these entrepreneurs guys, I'm like, where are the jobs? I hear you guys have all the... I hear it's fine. But in my lived experience...
You haven't seen that?
I haven't seen that. And if you guys are doing what you were saying, the stats wouldn't be saying this. So what's happening here? Where's the accountability? And then people started calling me. And I said what I said.
Is that from that post?
Yeah, and I said, I said what I said. Why am I defending the truth? It's my lived experience. Why are you being touched? Did I say your name? I didn't say your name. And if you think you're doing right, then why are you touched?
Yeah.
I'm talking about my lived experience. amongst other entrepreneurs, right? And I'm not taking anything away from anyone. And I'm also taking accountability. No one is forcing us to go into these things, by the way. But we're desperate. But like I said, we are stuck in a startup culture. It's a little starter. Since that's if you start. Okay, what about the guys that want to grow? The reason why you and I know Batu Drip and SAP is because this is the 3 entrepreneurs in the past 10 years that have scaled at that level. 3.
After all these monies that have been spent in trying to create industrialists and all sorts.
Come on, bro. It's not a popularity contest. We don't know them because they're popular, but it's because they're scaling. Oh, and Legends Baba.
Yeah, but is that a fair statement in that maybe there's many more that we don't know about that are...
Bruv, the South African media likes a success story. They would have never missed it. South Africa, they celebrate you for an idea. You have an idea, they write about you. So you think they wouldn't write about people who are scaling? No, I don't think so. They wouldn't mess that up. We get called, like, shop, and I'm like, I'm still, the keys are besties. I need to go sort that out, right? So you think they would miss an opportunity of someone who's scaling? No ways. No ways. South Africa is a rainbow nation, right? We live in the fugazi of everything is fine. So the more that story could be told, the better to maintain the system, right? So we're counting 4 brands, you and I, in the past 15, 20. 4 brands. Everything else is noise. How much has been spent on ESD, ESG, all these things? How many awards? If you get an award, we are going after 4 years, chief, you got an award there. What are you doing now? Right? And not because people are not working, but because we're not saying we're doing what we're doing. And I said the people that are running these programs are not entrepreneurs. So if I'm saying it's a low season, you're not an entrepreneur. You know? So, but this is what I'm saying to you, right? In me vocalizing such, I run the risk of
alienating potential partners, funders, and so forth.
Right? So that's why these 2 things keep clashing, and I had to go through a certain thing and say, okay, cool. None of it is wrong. I just need to find a way to coexist, to have them coexist with each other, and not sell out in a way, whatever that might mean to anyone, right? But for me, I've resigned myself from the no, dog, this is a capitalist system. Let's figure it out, and then after that. And then, don't make me a philanthropist but no, you want me to give what. No, I'm realistic with my background, right? And I don't believe in job creation. How do we build a school that is going to create job creators? When the Boers were experiencing something like this, they were industrialized.
In fact, speaking of school, they're busy building universities.
Come on,
now.
Bro. All we want to do is So I've removed myself from that. I've removed myself from that. It's been quite an interesting, because now it's allowed me to focus back in my business, and I'm seeing a lot of holes in my business that I'm plucking now, and also pacing myself.
Which is cool, because now you're holding yourself to account, right? So to
100%.
your own and to your own gig, right?
100%.
So, but buddy, you've been more than generous with your time.
Yeah.
Like more than.
Yeah.
But you understand why
no, but,
you know,
100%,
like
100%,
it lended itself to
100%.
double clicking on stuff. So with that, not being greedy, I'm just gonna say massive thank you.
Yeah.
And just like onwards and upwards, you know, and essentially ultimately live your own truth, you know, as hard as it sometimes is under the circumstance, but so thankful for your time. And I'm pretty certain a number of our viewers would have found a number of nuggets of wisdom. I certainly did, and I thoroughly enjoyed the chat. So with that, thank you so much. And guys, as they say, subscribe, do whatever, like, you know, so that more people like, you know, rock up, and we can have more insights from guys who are not just talking the talk, but they are actually walking the walk. So with that, thanks. See you next time. Sharp.